The call on a bleak Tuesday morning in Toronto. Douglas Harrison was lost in thought, nursing a second cup of coffee as snowflakes pirouette down outside his kitchen window. At 6 a.m., the unexpected ring of his phone shattered the calm. The name on the screen read Glenn, his brother, and an unease settled over him. It had been 3 weeks since their last conversation, and their recent meeting at their mother, Helen's nursing home, had been fraught with tension. When he answered, Douglas was struck by the gravity in Glenn's voice, a false solemnity that made his skin crawl. "I have some difficult news," Glenn said. "Mom passed away last night, peacefully in her sleep." A world of disbelief suffocated Douglas. "What? When?" "I was just planning to visit her today." "The funeral is Friday," Glenn continued, cutting through Douglas's shock. "I've already made the arrangements." The next words were a chilling twist. Glenn informed him, almost gleefully, that their mother's will was straightforward. Everything would go to him, leaving Douglas with nothing. A thread hung in the air. "Don't even think about contesting it." As the call ended, Douglas stood in a fog of disbelief, grappling with the dual agony of his mother's death and his brother's callousness. A suspicious circumstance. Feeling the chill of betrayal, Douglas's mind raced. How could Glenn lead with such coldness when their mother had just died? He recalled the last visit to her nursing home. Helen, once vibrant and witty, was now a shadow of herself, trapped in a fog of confusion. It was Glenn who had urged the family to grant him power of attorney. Just months prior, this arrangement had drastically changed her care, and Douglas felt an unsettling urge to investigate further. Deciding to call the Maple Grove Care Center, he grappled with the pounding in his chest as he inquired about his mother. "I just heard she passed away." There was a pause before a nurse's voice replied, "I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison, but your mother is fine. She's having breakfast right now." Panic surged through him. "Can you do me a favor? Don't tell anyone I called, especially not Glenn." As he hung up, clarity settled over him. This wasn't just their mother's illness. Glenn's behavior reeked of something sinister. The investigation begins. Finding a lawyer he trusted, Douglas met with Robert Chun to discuss the horrifying revelations about Glenn's intentions. "Douglas," Robert said, his brow furrowed with concern, "if your brother is misrepresenting your mother's condition or misappropriating her assets, we could be looking at criminal charges, but we need solid evidence." With Robert's advice echoing in his mind, he hired a private investigator, Sarah Mitchell, who was sharp and methodical. During their meeting, he laid out a timeline of events leading to his mother's diagnosis of dementia and the red flags that accompanied his brother's newfound authority. "You need to act fast," Sarah cautioned. "I'll need 48 hours to track your mother's finances." That evening, propelled by dread, Douglas drove to the nursing home unannounced. He needed to see with his own eyes the mother he'd worried about for months. When he found Helen in a chair, she stared vacantly, yet something flickered behind her eyes. Was it recognition? A nurse entered and interrupted the moment, leaving Douglas with a mix of hope and despair. As he pondered Glenn's escalating greed, the deception revealed after a sleepless night, Douglas returned to Maple Grove, and to his surprise, he found Helen lucid and alert. The revelation began to unfold when she took his hands in hers and whispered, "Douglas, I've been pretending." The room seemed to spin as Helen explained how Glenn's actions had prompted her deception. She needed to know which of her sons truly cared for her beyond financial motives. "I consulted my own lawyer after Glenn suggested he'd be my POA." She revealed, her eyes steady. "I put most of my assets in an irrevocable trust before he could touch them. I've been testing you both." The weight of her words pressed down on Douglas, combining disbelief with a sense of pride. He had visited her consistently despite her condition, showing up out of love rather than expectation. For the next 48 hours, they meticulously devised a plan, documenting Glenn's attempts to manipulate and control his mother. They agreed to install hidden cameras in her room, with Helen continuing her act of confusion whenever Glenn visited. With the ground now set for a showdown, Douglas felt a cautious hope building within him. The showdown the day of Glenn's meticulously planned funeral arrived, and Douglas found himself caught in a tidal wave of emotion. The funeral home was adorned with flowers and attended by family. Strangers now caught in a web of deception woven by Glenn. Just as Glenn commenced his eulogy, praising himself as the dutiful son, Douglas stood up, interrupting the facade with a powerful declaration. "Where's the body, Glenn? Because last I heard, Mom was alive." A wave of confusion rippled through the attendees. As they turned to see the back door swing open, Douglas held his breath as his mother entered. Flanked by police officers, gasps echoed throughout the room as Helen, strong and dignified, exposed Glenn's deceit, affirming her own autonomy in front of their entire family. With undeniable evidence provided, the police arrested Glenn for elder abuse, fraud, and attempted theft. As he was led away, Douglas felt a mixture of relief and heartbreak. The familiar betrayal and loss of Glenn's love cut deep, but he knew they had to reclaim their truth and protect Helen. In the months that followed, Glenn faced the legal ramifications of his actions, while Douglas and Helen rebuilt their lives. Together, they launched the Helen Harrison Elder Protection Fund, empowering other families to recognize elder abuse and safeguard their loved ones.